Hi guys, I'm Rose, and guess what? It's story time. Now, this is the story of a girl who had everything going for her, from the perfect family to the friends to even academic report cards. They were nice. But there was one thing that came on later for her that changed everything, including how she behaved in society, her interactions with other people, and her position in the family. Now, this girl had a life where most people envy. Her mother worked in her school, so anytime she had a problem in school, she'd just run downstairs and tell her mom about anything, about anyone. Now, this was back in the year 2008, and she was finally going to do her KCP exams, which, to her better judgment, she thinks she should have scored better, but she didn't. But this did not hinder her. She managed to still, put a smile on her face and go to secondary school. It wasn't the best, it wasn't her chosen school, but it was a start, and it was a step in the right direction. Now, 2 years later, her mom all of a sudden began frequenting the hospital, a fever here, typhoid there. But I'll tell you what did it for her mom. It was TB. Now, for this girl, it wasn't obvious enough that her mother had passed away from AIDS. And it was really hard when everyone, it seems, around her knew except for her. Now, I have a younger brother, and I'm not going to speak about how he felt because I know he dealt with his shock in other ways. Now, I want to speak about me because this is about me. Now, when her father, her beloved father, sat this girl down together with her brother and told them that what killed their mother was not TB or typhoid or any other illness, it was HIV and AIDS. Her world literally got turned upside down. Now you'd think at that time you can accept and move on. There's one more thing that he said. He lived with it too. And that, for this little girl, meant that this cruel, faceless monster would be back again to take somebody else that she loved. Now, this was in 2010, and she had just lost her mom. She was in Form 2. She was still a teenager, trying to get the hang of saying no and pretending that she knows best. And it was a downward spiral after that. She began missing classes just to go back home and sleep. She was still innocent enough to go back and sleep. I'm proud of that, but not so much. Now, when she finished high school, maybe fast forward, when she finished high school, 2 years later, her father succumbed to the disease. And this, in turn, started another spiral downwards, downhill. It went down and down and down. She broke every floor. She kept tumbling down, and it was better for her to run. So she ran. She ran to her friends, anywhere that wouldn't make her think of what she had to do now, of who she had to be. As a firstborn, you should take up the breadwinner's position and be that person for your small brother. But she didn't want to do that. She didn't want to face it. Now, society has put it so that we do not talk about HIV and AIDS. And I'll tell you why I know this. On the day of my father's funeral, I had written down a speech about how HIV had affected me, how I didn't feel any different towards my father because I still loved him. And I shared this with one of my aunties. No, my aunties, I can't specify. But the frown on her face, I will never forget. And she tore up my speech to thousands of pieces. That felt like a stab through my heart. And she told me, you cannot say this in front of people. You just can't. I didn't understand. It was my tribute to my dad. And people deserve to talk about how they feel. But I was forgetting one thing. This is Kenya. And that was Kitui. So I wrote another speech. And she was going to read it and go through it. So I decided to leave out the HIV part. And I did, thinking, when I go up there, as sad as I may feel, I'll still talk about HIV, what I wanted to tell people. But she stood behind me. And when she saw that I had finished what I had written, she whispered in my ear, hurry up, say your goodbye and go back and sit down. There's a member of parliament here who wants to say a few words. So she cut my tribute short. Not because there was another important person present, but because she didn't want me to tell people that we had been touched by this virus. That this family, this well-known family, had lost their son to this disease. But I never stopped wishing that I'd be able to talk about it. Because I love both my parents to now. There's no way of getting over it. But I have two problems, you see. One is the effect that this disease has on people. You've heard depression, name it. There's orphans around, so many orphans because of this disease. And now the statistics say that 59% of men and women correctly named ways of protecting themselves sexually against HIV. But what about that other 41%? We've ignored HIV. There were campaigns when I was growing up. Every half an hour there was an ad on TV about how HIV affects people, how to protect yourself against HIV, unprotected sex, about STDs. It was all there on mainstream media. But now you can watch TV all you want, but you will not find even one ad about HIV. So what does that say about us? Are we forgetting or are we simply ignoring? We have present problems. Yes, we do. And it's good to accept that. But we have the existing problems, the problems of yesterday, the problems that we had plans to solve. But with these new problems, we forgot about those ones. We put them in the back burner. And the people who suffered then are still suffering now. And yes, there's been a decline, but it's not enough. People are still losing their parents. Kids are still dying. And families still taking advantage of these orphans, of these relatives that we have. Society doesn't want to hear them. Normalizing HIV is wrong. It hurts when I know I have no parents because of this disease, and I hear someone say, I'd rather have HIV than die of cancer. That is wrong. And it makes me wonder what kind of society we live in right now. The year is 2020, and we've had the highest teen pregnancies that we've had in years. Babies by the thousands carrying other babies. What does that mean? To me, it means that unprotected sex has been happening. And unwanted pregnancies is not the only thing that we will be facing. We'll have to face STDs, STIs, and HIV, because sooner or later, those numbers too will rise. Now, a wise woman once told me not to spend the whole of my life standing at the complaints counter. You know, you go to a bank, you have 5 shillings less than you wanted, and you go and stand in line for hours to get that 5 shillings back. I'm not gonna do that. You and I both know. If you heard me, I hope you were listening. Now, I'd like to tell you about my initiative. Now, HIVE is a group of well-knit, it's a society of people, let's say, who have been touched or affected in one way or another by HIV. Now, it could be the orphans who are left behind and they're not suffering from HIV, or it could be people who are suffering themselves with HIV. Now, HIVE, I'd like to explain to you. I founded HIVE, and this name is special to me. You see? Now, HIVE has the numeric value 4 in the middle. Now, this 4 I took to represent the 4 E's, where we encourage, we engage, and we allow people a platform to share their experience or give them new experiences. You know, you never know when someone wants to go ziplining. And where we allow them to exist as they are and exit a society of stigmatization. Now, as you can see, it also has the word HIV in it. And this is what I came up with to help those who get depressed, those who are suicidal. And believe it or not, there are even people out there who are serial, not murderers, but serial HIV and AIDS patients, because they are determined to go out there and give this disease to as many people as possible. And we're not funded by anyone. We're just a group of people who hold each other's hands and allow each other to be who or what we want to be or need to be to get through this pandemic, because it's a pandemic still. Now, I hope that as you sit there, you'll think about this and you'll see the statistics. They favor what I'm saying, and you too can do something. Just don't let it go to waste. Don't let your help for another human go to waste. Stand up, do something. Even not judging someone is a way of helping. And with that, I welcome all of you members to HIVE. Thank you.